everything we can in compliance with the law with our law dogs on there. But we were also seeing it on crime has changed with regard to, a lot of times we would go and see a narcotics trafficking operation or a human trafficking operation. And when we went in, we would see that, oh, they also have credit card theft or identity theft. Oh, another one. Oh, wow, they got a whole table. So, Dan Gibbons is doing a tremendous job. He previously worked as a bouncer, so we're using all of his skills. So we... Thank you and apologies. No worries. Everyone together. Yeah. No worries. So what we're doing is bringing in our financial crimes ASAs who know how to read a financial spreadsheet. So we have our ASAs who are prosecuting the narcotics trafficking, and we also have the ASAs who know how to prosecute a financial crime. We're working together. And this is what I tell that Bureau of Financial Crimes, Cyber Crimes, is the only thing we ever got Al Capone on was tax evasion. I will use every single tool we have at our disposal to put people in jail when they commit crimes. So our third issue was hiring. The state's attorney's office was severely depleted in our ASAs. So over the last year, we have hired 94 assistant state's attorneys, and we brought in 202 clerks and interns. So we are on path to be back fully staffed. My love was training. I always did training with the judiciary. It was, for a decade, I taught every judge in Illinois civil procedure, which making civil procedure funny is not easy, I will just say. And so as soon as we came in, this is my love, is training. And we brought in a curriculum director, Cordelia Kopelson, who has been unbelievable. So we did leadership training for all supervisors in the office. We did management training. How do you do a PIP? How do you get somebody who's having issues the help that they need? We had every single person in the office do an up-to-date ethics webinar, and they had to do it by the end of January. So we knew we were getting the foundation done on everything. We did not have the personnel to have entire dockets for cybercrime, but anybody who has an elderly parent right now can tell you cybercrime is an issue. They are targeting the most vulnerable people in our population. The U.S. attorneys, pardon me, John, but the U.S. attorneys will not touch financial crime if its value is less than $500,000. That's a lot of seniors' entire retirement savings that is gone. We needed to be able to fill that void. So what we did is we partnered with the Department of Justice and Homeland Security, Secret Service, and all of our local partners who do this work, and we did a training. We selected 20 of our assistants to go through this training, and it was about 20 to 30 hours of training, and now they're cyber specialists. So when these cases come in, they are specifically assigned for it. We're going to continue to use this model as we see crimes that might not have enough for an entire docket, but have a sufficient amount. Animal cruelty is what's coming next. That's probably not enough for an entire, I hope it'll never be enough for a docket, but it will be enough for people who are interested in it to really understand the law. We started combining trainings with our assistant state's attorney in law enforcement. Law enforcement is our main, if not our sole witness on each and every single case. We need to have a working relationship with them. So on day one, Superintendent Snelling and his command staff and our exec team started sitting down saying, okay, where are the problems? What can we do to fix this? How can we get officers back out on the street faster? How can we get our cases in the best position they can be by the time it comes to first appearance court? So we have started doing Fourth Amendment training all over the county with the Illinois State Police as well as with CPD, and now we're going to start going out into suburban police departments as well. We also did all new detective training. And the reason why is I want not just our ASAs to be the best versed in the law attorneys. What if our police were the best trained in the law? That's a game change. That changes how we interact with the community. It changes how they feel about policing and law enforcement. So the FBI has now ranked, this is a fairly recent statistic, of cities that have a population over 100,000. Chicago's rank in the top 100 is, any guesses? 92nd. We are now on par with New Haven, Connecticut, Bakersfield, California, Wichita, Kansas, and Warren, Michigan. So if I have any request for anybody in this room, spread this word. Chicago is a beautiful place to raise a family and bring a business. We are back on track. So, this year, we are on pace to have less than 400 homicides. We have not seen that number since 1965. That is a significant achievement. This is with regard to fatal shootings are down 32%. Robberies are down 34%. Vehicular hijackings are down 49%. All violent crime is down 22%. We are making progress. I'm not saying that the state's attorney's office gets the credit, but we get the credit. No, I'm just kidding. I hesitate to put this out because I don't take credit for things. You can get a lot done if you're not looking for credit. There's a lot of people that deserve credit. Superintendent Snelling deserves a lot of credit. The judges who started listening to our detention arguments get a lot of credit on this. We're not done. We are nowhere near done, but this is a good start. So, in the future, this is what's coming up. Crime is now almost always on video. So, we need to have the capability of getting through video, but it's not just video. Science has advanced in a significant way. DNA, ballistics, cell phone data. We could take somebody's cell phone and find out exactly where they were at any given time. We can take a shell casing and put it into a NIBIN machine, and that machine will tell you where else that gun has been utilized. That's significant changes in science, and it's irrefutable. There is no human error when you are using scientific evidence. So I want to give an illustration. Netflix entire catalog is 36,000 hours of video. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office is right now retaining and disseminating over 200,000 hours of video. Every single case has hours and hours of video. So I want to use this as an example. Many of you might remember this. About a month ago, somebody stole an ambulance from a West Side hospital, drove through the city, and eventually this is what happened. So as you're watching this, please take a look at all of the different vantage points. So what is happening is the helicopter video, all security video on every single street, ring cameras, pod cameras, every single camera that can trace this. Then we have about 30 different squad cars. They all have dash cams, and we have several dozen officers. Each and every one of them has body-worn camera. So on this incident alone, we're probably looking at 20,000 hours of video that has to be gone through. There is not enough hours in the day for our assistant state's attorneys to run their court call and somehow go through this, redact what it is we're going to be using, and tender it to the defense, which we're legally obligated to do. So we are drowning in video right now. So the blue line is 2018, how much video evidence we had, about 6 hours per felony case, and now you can see it's closer to 25 hours per felony case. It's a significant burden. So we need to have the technology and the capability to go through this evidence and present it in a way that a jury can understand and see it. So the goal here, and I stole this one right from the City Club, so the goal is Chicago is going to be the safest big city in the U.S. So I'm going to end with Daniel Burnham's quote, "Don't make any little plans." We are not making any little plans. We are shooting for the sky. We are aiming high, and we're thinking big. So I think you got some questions for me now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure this works, and I'll ask you to take a seat.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. And again, apologies, folks. We are an open forum here, so we appreciate freedom of public, freedom of speech. And they were paying ticket holders. So
wow.
But when you interrupt an event, you're not welcome here, because we appreciate civil discourse, and thank you all for being polite and allowing some folks to find their way out. You've made it. Now you're here at City Club, and
yes.
You've got a protester.
And I got protested. I'm surprised they know my name half the time. I'm a county official.
Well, a county official who's been incredibly busy over 1 year. You were here while you were a candidate, and it's been a year. Before we get into some technical questions, how are you doing? How are you holding up? You have people telling you how great of a job you're doing. You've got all these great stats, and then you have a few people who probably don't agree with you. You probably have some people who...
They think I'm Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
So how are you holding up? How has this year been for you?
It has been enormously gratifying. It really, truly has. Like, the question I got asked a lot when I first came in is, what did you find? You know, what did you find in the state's attorney's office? And I said, well, you know, we had all heard about all the attrition and how bad the morale was. And I will tell you, what I found is people who really believed in our mission. People who believe that we are there to represent the victims, and we are there to uphold the law. And they continued to do the job when they were overworked, understaffed, and even undermined at some times. And they continued to carry out the mission. So it's been great.
And if you were to name one, your greatest accomplishments a year, you know, you're not going to see results of this for a while, but what do you feel best about that you've been able to do in a year?
Oh, that's so hard. But I will say the people that I've put in leadership positions are truly, truly making the difference. We are getting stuff done. We are collaborating a lot with stakeholders. We're making a difference that way. We've restructured the office. So anybody who was a Cook County State's Attorney can tell you it's a very institutional place. Like, they have alumni still, and they had a certain way of doing things. And one of the ways was a special prosecution bureau. And it was a sacred cow in the office. It was like our homicide, it made no sense. It was like every different kind of crime was kind of thrown in special pros. And we broke that apart So we made special victims out of that. We made our multi-jurisdiction bureau out of that, where we can, I keep saying this, but crime has changed. It used to stay neatly confined in city-county borders. It doesn't anymore. Now we're seeing like financial crimes, cyber crimes, trafficking cases, gun cases, that those all are crossing county and city lines. So we knew we needed to start getting in with our partners and making sure that we had a seat at the table. So Chicago has Chicago Gun Intelligence Center, CIVIC, they call it. And so first week we were in office, we went and we're touring CIVIC, and there was a sign that said Cook County State's Attorney. I was like, oh, great, we have people here. Who's here? Nobody. State's Attorney never sent anybody there. So what CIVIC does is every shooting is all the stakeholders are sitting around the table. ATF, CPD, U.S. attorneys, state's attorneys, every stakeholder who might have a hand in that, and we talk about the case and who's better suited for it. Is this case that's better suited for the feds, or is it better suited for us? But the partnerships that we've developed now are helping us build cases, build stronger cases.
So you're calling ATF, CPD, your partners?
Yes. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's a strong signal to a lot of folks in this room. Historically, there's a lot of finger pointing. It's the judicial system, it's the police's fault, it's the mayor's fault, it's the state's attorney's fault. It's refreshing to hear that these are partnerships. Is that the reality?
We are never going to get anything done unless we start working together. And this whole vilification of the other side, or people who don't think exactly how I do on things, it just grinds everything to a halt. And so that was really important to every one of us on the exec team, is to make sure that we were making these bridges, that we were making sure that they felt comfortable bringing cases to the state's attorney's office, that they knew that we were dedicated to this job and we were adequately trained to handle those things.
That is, like I said, that's refreshing. It's good to hear. And of course, at City Club, we agree. We've had each of those. We've had the police department, we've had the mayor, we had the governor, we had the state's attorney. And I do think in the last year, your name has come up in a lot of those. So in a positive
I don't know
way,
if that's a good thing.
In a great,
yeah.
great way. Honestly, if you look back at our videos, I think that feeling of partnership and working together is really making a difference. And like here, we are dedicated to doing more of that. So thank you for that. It's been a lot in a year. That said, you still have a few things to figure out, right?
Quite a few.
Okay.
Quite a few.
What's number one on the list?
Domestic violence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into that, because actually we're talking about a program. Maybe you can help us piece it together. What's the number one issue now, and what can be changed or maybe solved or made better? So
there's a myriad of things. So our domestic violence court is at 555 West Harrison. So it's an enormously busy place, but we also have, at the same time that a woman has been battered, is showing up to court to get an order of protection, we also have placed all of these stalking no contact orders in there. Stalking no contact could be your neighbor trimmed your bushes too close, or somebody, spilled something on your patio, or it could be, it's much less serious than a criminal order of protection usually. Not always, but usually. And we have about 40% of the cases in domestic violence are these stalking no contact orders. So what we're trying to do and work with the Chief Judge's office is to move those out of domestic violence so that we have the resources and the bandwidth to make sure we're dealing with those cases that need to be addressed as quickly as possible. Great. And like I think you finished with making a little plans, right? These are big problems, these are big, but I think everybody appreciates when there are solutions that are within reach. Can you think of any solutions within reach? Maybe working with partners like the police department and others for a couple of things. And I want to mention teens downtown. I don't know what we're supposed to say. And transit, and
couple of those things you have, I believe, gotten more involved with, but they seem like problems that can be solved with the right partnerships. What are you thinking on those? What's your thinking, and what's your, do you have any initiatives underway?
So, with regard to the teen things, I will always defer to Snelling on that. If Snelling thinks that something is, that guy's the real deal. I mean, he really knows what he's doing. He has the trust of the law enforcement rank and file as well. So, if Snelling's good with an initiative, I'm usually good with an initiative. So, I'm going to defer to him on that. With regard to the CTA, Nora came over to our office, and we started walking through what are some of the challenges, what are we seeing, and what we realized is we need to get as much information as they have about the actual crime. Can I tell them about, you have a lot of security on the CTA? There is a significant, it's
There might
kind
be a
of
presence
like,
in the room.
yeah, it's kind of like Total Recall, if anybody remembers that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. They had that level of technology on the CTA, but we need to make sure that we're getting that as soon as we go into first appearance court. Because if seeing a video is totally different than somebody describing it to you. So the more that we can coordinate and get as much information as possible, as quickly as possible, I think we can send a very strong message. So similar to the machine gun conversion devices, we started sending a very strong message that these crimes will be taken seriously. We do not think you should be carrying a gun that could fire 100 times in 3 seconds. That is the law says you shouldn't be carrying that. So by changing how we approach that, we were able to change how many shootings happen. I want to do the same thing with CTA crime. I want to do, any time a violent crime happens on the CTA, we are asking for detention and jail time, because that's our function. Our function is to be a deterrent. And, you know, anybody who took Criminology 101 can tell you the deterrent is the likelihood of being caught and the likelihood of being punished. And the punishment factor was our bailiwick, and we weren't doing our jobs, but now we are.
I'm going to try to fit as much in as well and get as much information out of you as possible in 5 to 6 minutes.
I can talk about the state's attorney's office for 2 hours.
Well, okay, let's get into the Safety Act for a minute. There are a couple of, we did have some questions. I was hoping to get a couple more audience questions, but I'm going to, Jennifer Brown mentioned, how can we address crime attributed to the Safety Act with no cash bail and sanctuary policies in order to ensure safety for all residents and prevent recidivism?
So let's talk about the Safety Act. I want everybody to have the same grounding of what it is and what it does. Safety Act, first of all, it was a 1,000-page bill. It wasn't like something you could peruse in an hour and see if you were for or against it. But fundamentally, what the Safety Act does is it changes how we approach pre-trial detention. So it used to be, and everybody has seen this, that if somebody came in and was charged, a judge would set the bond. So the more serious the offense, the higher the bond. We've all seen that. Murder would be $1 million bond. So what the Safety Act does is it says we're not going to look at money anymore. We are going to solely look at, are you a danger to the public or are you not? And I think we can all agree that's what the criterion should be. You shouldn't be a Jeffrey Epstein and be able to buy your way out of jail if you're a danger to the public. But at the same time, somebody who's not a danger to the public should not be incarcerated before they're found guilty. I think we can all agree that's a step forward. That is something that we're one of the first states in the nation to try to do that. So it is incumbent on us to say this is working. That I agree with. But it's incumbent on the state's attorney's office now to establish that somebody is a danger. And the way that we do that is we make sure we have all of the information about someone's background or about this particular offense that makes them a danger. If they're not a danger, I don't care if they're being monitored or not. Go about your life. Get ready for trial. If you're not a danger, there's no reason to put someone on electronic monitoring. It doesn't make any sense to do that. So the Safety Act has made significant changes. But they're changes that we can rise to the occasion and meet. And I think we've shown that by the way we're approaching detention. We just have to make sure the judges have the information that's necessary.
And is electronic monitoring working? I mean, we talked a little bit about the blue line. I think there was some news recently, other cases in the news where electronic monitoring, folks have been out. Is that sufficient?
So we do have a new chief judge. We had a new chief judge get assigned yesterday, and this is going to be something that we're looking into and talking about and seeing ways that we can make that system work. It's not my preference. If somebody is a danger, I do not want them on electronic monitoring. So, but if they're not a danger and a judge doesn't feel comfortable releasing them, that it's almost like a split the baby kind of thing. If we're asking for detention, judges will say, well, I don't want to detain him, but I'm not going to just release him. I'll put him on electronic monitoring. And that's a false equivalency. It makes people feel safe, and they are not safe.
Okay. You were talking about guns. I have an interesting question here, specific, timely. I'm just going to read it. Brandishing weapons in the city of Chicago is against the law. Again, this is a question from Brian Heffernan. Border Patrol and those law enforcement sent by Texas are out of their jurisdiction. Why are they not arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of Illinois law, among other crimes?
So this was a question that came up a lot. And so I am a state court prosecutor, which means my jurisdiction is for state crimes. All of the Border Patrol and ICE agents are federal agents. They are regulated by the federal government. The state system has no ability to weigh in on what the federal system is doing. It's called the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. I like that little term. That's a fun one to throw around. So I do not have the authority, the jurisdiction, or the ability to charge any ICE or Border Patrol officers with any crimes while they are within the scope of their duties. But if an ICE agent went and got drunk after work and drove drunk, well, then I have jurisdiction over him. It would only be if they committed crimes outside of their purview as an ICE agent. That being said, the state's attorney's office did have a significant role. Where the state, under Kwame Raoul, we don't have the authority to sue on behalf of the state. Only the Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, does. So Kwame filed a case to prevent the deployment of the National Guard here in Chicago. And what we could do is file an amicus brief. So for those who are not lawyers, it's you could say it amicus or amicus, whatever fancy way you want to say it. But it means we're a friend of the court. We're not a party to this case, but we have some issues that this is causing. It is causing irreparable harm. And there were three things that we focused on. And the first is that by deploying the National Guard here, you are giving the impression that Chicago is a very crime-ridden city. It is a quelling effect on businesses and tourists and people who want to come here. And I think you've just seen that that is just not borne out by the data. Chicago is not a crime-ridden city right now. So to have them deployed here creates irreparable economic harm to the vitality of our city. That was one. Second way we said this is irreparable harm is by having ICE agents and Border Patrol surrounding courthouses, which is what they were doing. Our victims and our witnesses will not come forward. They will not come to court. And if they don't come to court, we have to dismiss charges and release very violent predators back out into the community. That's irreparable harm. The third thing that we saw is over the last year, we have really been building up our interactions with the community, that we wanted to rebuild the trust of the community with law enforcement, and we started to make significant progress with that. And you could see that by our clearance rate. We had previously had about a 10% murder clearance rate in Inglewood. We are now up to a 78% murder clearance rate in that same area. So we were getting a lot of traction and having the community feel safe, that they could come forward, they could testify against people, that we could make this system work better. And all of a sudden, we had these agents walking through town, racially profiling people, stopping them, demanding their papers because they were dark. And most people do not see the difference between ICE agents and all other law enforcement. They just group them together as law enforcement. That erodes all of the trust that we need to have from the community. So by having that was also an irreparable harm. And I will say this, the federal district judge cited the arguments that we put forward in the amicus brief in denying the National Guard the ability to deploy in Chicago. So the state's attorney's office did have a role, but we will always stay in our lane. I will only do what the jurisdiction and the authority conveyed in me by the Constitution allows me to do.
Okay, I'm buzzing all over. I think we are out of time. I'm going to ask you one final question. I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute because I'm going to go through some of the programs we have coming up. But what should we be talking about here at City Club? And you can think about that. What maybe if you were to devise a program or two or a series, and I'm going to mention some that we have coming up, so you all come back, and then we'll come back to you and hear maybe some thoughts on what we really need to dive deeper into. And then maybe we could work on a couple programs together. We can get experts like we do with all of you in the room to come to the table or the seats and create this incredible civil discourse. I'll give you that second, because I'm going to mention to all of you, for those programs that are not sold out, we have a whole host of great programs coming up. Neighborhood Voices, 20 Years of Growth and Community Vision on December 8th is about Little Village. Democracy Under Siege, Safeguarding Our Elections and Preserving Voter Rights is coming up. Speaker Emmanuel Chris Welch is coming up on January 6th.
Do you need any tests, paper, audio? I'm available. Oh, that's gonna be great, I think. Okay, what do you need?
Where's your white balance?
I don't know this job. I'm used to
This is how
writing
it's
them.
done, okay?
On the other side.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Importantly, is my plant in the shot?
No,
Really?
no,
How about now?
it's not gonna be in the shot. You want her in the shot.
I know, but they
You
want
didn't get the bright lights.
You don't want the Christmas tree growing out of the side of her head.
not against the less boring wall.
Boring is good.
I
Everything else is
I will relay the feedback.
Because it's not distracting
Yes,
from
everything
the
else is
person.
distracting.
You like this better?
Yeah.
Okay, what if there's a banner? Because I'm told that's coming.
They put it up there. We vote against it, but you know we don't have a say because it's you know.
See, I Okay.
Yes, sir.
Stand there.
Here?
I'm so sorry.
Look in that direction. That's the,
Oh, yeah. You want me to stand here?
just stand right here.
You know, I could put my butt up
Yeah,
against
do
it.
it.
They don't get
Sorry.
pumpkin.
Watch out. So sorry.
Don't sit on the cheesecake.
Watch the wires. So sorry. Here, just be behind the board. Yeah. Where do you guys want this? It's
We don't.
happening. Okay, then
In the back of the room?
you really nothing at all. You don't want it.
You don't want
Okay,
it
then
at all?
don't use it. We're not using it.
No, honestly, I don't think so.
What do you think, Craig?
I don't.
I'm gonna tell
For
him.
our team, so it was like.
No, I know.